I am, I work as a communications consultant for organizations that offer environmental solutions. So my clients basically would fall under, organizations that are into waste management, that are into, say, tree plantations, cleanup drives, sustainable alternatives to plastic, sustainable, any products, whether it's organic, skincare, personal care, farms. I have a farm as one of my clients. So professionally, that's what I do now. I'm some sort of a content creator myself. I'm a fan of blogging and writing. I write whenever I have the time. That's a bit about me professionally, and personally, I live in Goa for the past few years, which was a move that was a lifestyle choice. It was consciously wanting to get away from the rat race. Mm-hmm. I'm a dog mom, and I love nature. For me, it was not sudden, as in I've been extremely passionate about the environment since a very young age. So I think for me, it was sort of one of those things that it was a natural progression. And in fact, I would say that if anything, my years in media or as a conventional marketer were probably what were kind of like taking me away from like this clear passion. And I think that was probably just because, when we grow up, it's like there was a time when all parents wanted you to be like doctors and lawyers and engineers. And then the more open-minded ones opened their minds up to, like media and journalism and that kind of thing and advertising. But, going and saying that, okay, I'm just going to be some kind of environmental activist was still not considered a mainstream career option. So which is what found me in advertising for, I would say, almost 6 or 7 years. And so I would say almost the same amount of time, which is 7 years ago, I actually started my own organization, which is called Green OK Please. And the idea was to raise awareness about eco-friendly products, to raise awareness about the fact that, what could be the possible harms of, the commercial chemical-laden products that we're using. And then just presenting the facts in terms of what the alternatives could be, and then allowing people to take their call. And so we were more like an aggregator. Green OK Place was helping connect the buyer with the producer, both online via an e-commerce website, as well as on ground via pop-up markets and things like that. So I've believed for a long time that there is a need for this. It's just not sustainable for I would say the world and the planet is one aspect of it, but even for us as human beings, we see now more instances of disease, cancers of various kinds being even more rampant now. So, and I think this pandemic of 2020 is one more kind of, one thing that backs that up as well. Definitely, I think there's more than enough greenwashing, as we call it, out there. And in fact, a few years ago, I used to spend quite a bit of my time on social media just kind of calling out these bluffs, where it would be possibly a bar of soap which has all your possible things like ammonium lauryl sulfate and, all kinds of sulfates and things like that. And but just the packaging would be kind of add a green color, slap on some leaves, and give it a name like I mean, something like Sanskriti, or just give it one of those names that people associate with nature, and there, you. So I think also in a country like ours, it's like the mass is so huge, and people that are not as educated or don't really question as much. So for somebody like that, it's really easy for a brand to kind of sell this product, right, which is actually a result of greenwashing. So yeah, there's that. But I would say also then the other side of it is CSR, right? CSR mandates have also become much stronger now. So there is a bit of recycling, or the whole circular economy aspect, which is coming in quite genuinely from certain brands. It's well, I a lot of our conversations, a lot of my conversations, even with my clients and stuff, revolve around this, right? Like it's mindset. We have grown into this space of convenience. It's as simple as that. I think a lot of it boils down to convenience. It's like you still have to remember. So something that I do is, if I'm going to, the ice cream or the gelato store, I'll always carry my own dabba. Right. And then I give them my dabba and I said, okay, and I tell them you can put my scoop in there. It still means that I have to remember, when I leave home, that maybe I'll pass the ice cream shop and maybe I'll have an ice cream craving. So let me have a dabba on me. It's definitely a lot of extra planning, as opposed to the convenience of, okay, chalo, I want to eat chaat. Okay, the chaat wala will anyway have, the disposable cup and the spoon and everything. So that's one example. But I think we can apply the same example to so many other things as well. If you talk about waste, a lot of people compost at home.
Right.
It's not easy. It doesn't come naturally at first. It does take an effort. So I think given that that our lives have become so busy and the entire focus is on work, careers, when not that, holidays, travel, shopping, entertainment as a whole, to actually carve out time in your life to follow these sustainable practices is something that not every single person is willing to do. In fact, you find fewer people that are that open-minded. I'm happy though that I do see that number seems to be increasing. Like I said, that there's a whole convenience involved, right, in that. So that's
Right.
one aspect of it. The other, I would say, is also accessibility. Let's say to healthier or more sustainable alternatives is, it's not easy. They're not so accessible. If I walk into the nearest, kirana shop, I'll very easily find any, let's say, any Unilever product. Any big brand, like whether it's a Nestle coffee or whether it's a Dove soap, or whether it's a Coca-Cola, right? It's all there. But now if I say, okay, chalo, I want to have a kombucha, for example, or fresh coconut water, or an organic soap, only certain larger stores with that kind of a section will possibly be able to cater to that.
Right.
The other thing is also, I would say a lot of it is education and awareness. I think that if people are given that opportunity to understand all the facts around this, I think people would be in a better position to try to change their habits. I would say I'm not sure how. I've worked during my days in advertising with some fairly large brands, and the communication was not really around sustainability at all, right? Like the idea was to your typical marketing communication. You highlight the benefits, you tell the customer what's in it for them, and that's the whole premise around which all of our communication is centered, right? And on the other side of it, I would say marketing for a sustainable brand is not entirely that different, but it is in my opinion, the focus is a little more on authenticity, on telling the story behind the product as well as the brand. There's more focus on talking about, who made your product, because invariably there is an individual who has handmade your product. So it's a lot more authentic storytelling. So I think it was not maybe one particular incident, but I do remember. Well, I have a very close friend, and she continues to be a close friend. And when we were young, her father used to smoke, and I have this one kind of very clear image in my mind of just her constantly telling her father to stop smoking. And apart from that, would also be that, okay, when you smoke, you litter the cigarette butt just exactly where you finish smoking. So I think that was for me one of those conscious memories that, here was somebody who was actually noticing. So it was not only the the direct harm of smoking, but also the fact that, okay, look, you're littering the environment. After that, so I studied in Bangalore again when I was quite young, and I would say that my school gave me the opportunity to be part of initiatives such as like just forest cleanups and river cleanups and tree plantation drives. And my school used to be in Whitefield, which was back then not the Whitefield it is today, and going camping and going and seeing what nature has to offer, which is so different from city life. I think that's what inspired me to go down this route. Yeah, I definitely think it'll take time. 5 years, I think, would be really quite ambitious, although the trend is there. The trend is definitely there. So if you, even if I can talk about myself, I have been inclined to it, but even taking the conscious call that I will work with only clients that are offering sustainable products and services, I think it was a punt. It was sort of like, I didn't, at the time when I took the call, I didn't know, am I going to get enough clients or not? But amazingly enough, any, like, say, one client will kind of tell somebody else they know, and it's kind of moving. Work for me is moving. And in the same vein, I work with a lot of, I work with graphic designers, I work with bloggers as well, who are also focusing on the same niche. So I would say on one side of it, as an industry of people focused on environmentally friendly kind of solutions, that's growing. The other side of it is the products, and services. That also is growing, right? There's so many more out there. So I think that consumers have a larger choice that they can expect over the next 5 years. Will the market completely change in 5 years? I don't think so. Especially India. I mean, we're still a country where the largest numbers are at the base. I don't think that accessibility and affordability of these sort of products is going to reach the masses anytime soon. But I do know that organizations are starting to try. I would see it applicable to any small business, not necessarily one geared towards sustainability. So as an entrepreneur, definitely I think a little bit in early days, a little bit knowledge of various aspects, serves you well. I, for example, earlier on, I was an absolute zero when it came to finance, taxation, compliances. And, many years ago, my CA would actually wonder, like, how are you running your own business? We used to joke about that. But having said that, I think that's the same for any kind of organization, in my view, that you don't necessarily need that. if there's one thing that is your focus and you're good at that, you can definitely attract like-minded people and build a team that serves that purpose. We started in 2013, and it wasn't easy. In fact, the company has seen various avatars, and the avatar that it has today is completely different from what it was in 2013. So I already touched upon, when we started, we were an e-commerce portal. We then, after running as an e-commerce portal for a couple of years, we then moved on to running offline events, so where we would curate and put together like a pop-up market of different eco-friendly products. We then went on to corporate gifting in this space, because we realized we needed the bulk. So over the years, I would say it's been kind of moving with the times and with whatever's been the need. Also, while in 2013, I had completely left a full-time job to work on this. I then found myself going back to a full-time job for a while, from 2017 until 2020. So I was kind of doing both. I was juggling a full-time job along with a venture. And I think 2020 gave me that opportunity to just start to appreciate time a lot more, and time and fresh air a lot more. And that's when I took a call to just break away from the corporate world and get back to focusing on Green OK Please. This time in a completely different avatar, right? So I'm using my marketing and communications expertise, but offering it to a certain subset, a certain niche. I think it can't just be one of them. I definitely think it's a combination. There are certain things, even from my time as a media planner, that I was able to take to my business. Kind of basically day-to-days as well. I definitely think that it helped to have had some traditional work experience, because it gives you a different perspective, right? I had worked with a team, I'd had a boss, so at least when you decide that I'm going to be my own boss, I came from a space where I'd already had somebody else as a boss, so I knew which I kind of preferred, and otherwise I think it's a bit of a lot of things. My organization for a year or so had been an incubatee at this organization called Unlimited India, which essentially is, it supports social enterprises. So there was definitely opportunities of attending conferences with really amazing speakers, which helped. And I would say the bulk of it definitely comes by doing, and then you make some mistakes, and then you learn on the job. So it's a combination of all of that. I can't say that my entrepreneurial journey was some kind of model journey. I look at it as an absolute confusion, and I still think that it's taken me time to just kind of by trial and error figure out what's working. I was to a very large extent lucky to have been in Goa. I had friends that were cooped up in tiny apartments in Bombay, or just generally, even if they were large apartments, it was still not, it was still not Goa. It was still not this air and, having the sea next to you and stuff. So I was lucky for sure. As an organization, so I was working as in senior leadership in the organization. And definitely the pandemic brought all revenues to a halt. And it was a concerning time, as with a lot of, small to medium businesses. We also had to downsize the team and take a lot of tough decisions, including pay cuts at various levels. So I look at it as a difficult time, but I definitely look at it as learning, because up until then I had never had to face something like this. Having to let go of people in my team and things like that. It was a learning of sorts. And just, I think for me, the realization also came from there that I didn't want to be in that kind of position at that time, for sure, because we were already going through pay cuts, and we couldn't see when this thing is going to turn and when there are going to be any kind of changes in the whole economical situation. I also was able to take that call for myself that, let me quit. Let me just, let me see what happens. So I would say it was a combination of good and bad, but mostly good. I am someone who spends a lot of time, kind of managing my energy, I would say, managing, spending time reflecting, writing, those sort of things. It's something that I've been interested in for a while. So it helps to have that while the rest of the world was probably thinking about, their job and that worry of where the next day's paycheck will come from. I can't say that I was removed from that worry, but I was able to really just say that, chalo, theek hai, I'm, going to have to face a pay cut. I can't run away from the situation. I can't do anything else about it. So what can I do? What can I change in future? I definitely think that just reflecting and ironing out what those priorities are in life is so important. One of the things I realized was I could be there to, just take my dog for a walk 3 or 4 times a day. And I enjoyed that walk too. And it was just fun, and I could work in my room and then just start blasting music for a while and then get back to work. It was just so much more freedom that it was easy for me to take that call, because the positives outweighed the negatives. Having said that, maybe if, if you asked me at another time when I didn't have so many clients, I would probably not be saying the same thing. So I think life has been kind to me. It's going good. So basically what I do now is I'm quite focused on marketing communications for sustainable organizations. At the moment, I have a few clients, which I mentioned. There's personal, there's personal care, there's a farm, there's a waste management organization, there's, so there's a few like-minded people. And, I think a lot of what we do is brainstorming, and the most work gets done because we're all on the same wavelength and working towards the same larger goal. And I think what I bring to the table is just from little nuggets from my experience working with mainstream large brands, working with smaller organizations. So I just sort of cross-pollinate those learnings, and it's seeming to work. I mean, what I promote are mostly simpler concepts. I've been encouraging a lot of my friends and family and, practically everyone I know to start spending more time outdoors. Something that we often do is, whether it's, the beach, or whether it's going, just going on a hike in the forest. We always have a bag with us, and we're just constantly picking up any trash that we find along the way. That's a concept that I really encourage everyone to start doing, because it just it helps you appreciate. One is the trash collectors, the garbage collectors. It helps us appreciate them. The other is also that when you do it, it's a bit of a workout as well. And thirdly, I would say it is a reminder the next time any of us thinks of maybe chucking something out, it's a constant reminder as well. So this is it, it's not a, it's just a concept, but it's something that I encourage everyone to do. And yeah, I mean, otherwise, yeah, no shameless plugs for any of the brands I work with. I actually I've been feeling that at least for the kind of clientele that I work with, there's just more kind of one-to-one conversation that seems to be working a lot more. I mean, we are in the midst of this entire, the newsletters continue and the social media continues, and now we know that podcasts have become, such a big deal. But what I think is working, a lot for a number of small brands is direct communication via WhatsApp. WhatsApp Business has, I think, really changed the way that you can interact with your customers. And if brands can use that well, I think that, that can really kind of win you a loyal, long-time customer, because you've invested that time having a personal conversation with them, as opposed to just just the kind of the mass mailers and the mass communication we throw at customers. Yeah, because definitely, see, I mean, a lot of organizations, in fact, what I do, one of the things I do is actually help them set up their website. So your digital communication is not going anywhere, website, social media, newsletters. Now with platforms like Substack, newsletters have gone big too. So I think we're definitely, we can't deny that the content that we're putting out there needs to be good quality content. So I'm not discounting any of those things, but I'm saying in addition to that, if brands can start figuring out ways to have, personal conversations with some of their customers, have those platforms to get that feedback as well, that I think can be a game changer. I can cook a good meal if I tried hard enough. Most of my friends and family have not tasted a good cooked meal by me, so they would probably tell you that she can't cook. So there's that. But otherwise, I'm pretty transparent. So I scuba dive, and that's something that most people would know about me. I'm an early sleeper, and I once went to sleep inside a nightclub. And this is also a story that has done its rounds enough. When it was that, so I just pulled together a few chairs and I kind of made myself comfortable because my friends didn't want to leave and I wanted to sleep. So I said, okay, I'm going to make this my bed. Worry, and I think, isn't that for everyone? Like, there are times when I'm in the flow with writing something and that could keep me up at night as well. But so could a good book. Mostly if I'm just up and it's not a good way, then it's worry. It's worrying about something I haven't finished, worrying about the people that I love. So it's worry that comes from somewhere. We had this workshop sometime last year, and there was a conversation around like transferable skills, right? And something that I've also come to realize over all these years is that there are certain skills that can be taught and that just come with the job. But what's more important is really for people to try and be themselves as much as possible. I don't know if you can term that as a skill, but I've sometimes worked with people in teams that feel the need to kind of, play themselves up or, maybe not admit that I don't know this. So they try to just like Google something and just somehow find the information. And because they don't want to admit to their senior or to their boss that I don't know this. So I think an important skill to have is that ability to just be able to accept when you don't know something and show your eagerness to learn. I think that's an important one. And other than that, I would say on a more kind of technical note, nowadays I feel that the line between, when you talk about communications, there's, of course, larger teams will have graphic designers, but I do feel that line is slightly blurring. So I think a good skill for anyone to have is, a basic design software, or know how to create something on a platform like Canva, like know how to put something good together, because it's often required. It's just being grateful. So I practice this little habit of just having, I have these like gratitude notes, and every morning I try to think of 5 things that I'm grateful for. And when I started this exercise a year ago, it did not come so easily. We were in the middle of a pandemic and I couldn't see, what do I have so much to be grateful about? Maybe not on the first couple of weeks, and but then slowly it just started to become so much more natural, right? I was like, oh, I have the sea in front of me, oh, I have this lovely dog, oh, I have such a supportive husband. And then it just, every day it became so easy for me to find 5 things that I was grateful for. I think it's almost like it makes me feel like for all that I have, for the amazing family, etc., like I have no reason to not be my best self, or to not try. At least I'm not perfect, so obviously I'm a pain on certain days, but I have no reason not to try. So this is one of those habits. I mean, I would definitely say I'd recommend it to everyone. Whether you want to start off with just one thing that you are grateful for. And I think it really, really helps. Like every day, it just helps you focus on what's going right in your life as opposed to what's going wrong. And if done consistently over a period of a few months, it can do wonders. Well, it's actually, I told my 18-year-old niece this recently. So I think it's the same thing. One of the things I feel is that I should have had, just have more fun, try a lot of different things, like even work-wise, because that's a time when not a lot of us know what we want to do. So just exposing yourself, like doing internships, just going into I would have loved to now in retrospect just go to my father's office or my uncle's offices and just see what do they do, what can I help around here, and just get a sense of a few different work environments, and doing that for a while before I actually maybe decided to do a master's or decided to get a certain type, get into a certain line of career. So yeah, that would be my advice to everyone who's 18 right now and to my 18-year-old self. For me, it's been that time, joyful time trumps everything else. And this learning has truly sunk in over the last year. So, my family's move to Goa was one step in that direction, right? Where we said that we had already chosen to be in a place that's quieter, that's, closer to nature. And we knew that we were sacrificing, great opportunities in the corporate world. And I mean, so I think that itself was a move in the right direction. But what I would say that just time and health trumps the unlimited amount of money, and that's been a learning for me. So I'm much happier for it now. Um, I previously used to work, and I'm talking about literally like if you looked at my day in 2019, I was working easily 10 to 12-hour work days, sometimes working on Saturdays as well, always rushed, uh, not eating well. And yeah, now it's completely different. I you know manage to focus on my dog, my family, my plants, myself. It's just so much more. Life is much calmer. Heavy one, but I would say, going inwards, going deeper into oneself, like just practicing some kind of meditation technique, or, just, even deep breathing for a few minutes every day. It really allows clarity of thought. It allows you to just, clear your mind, whether you're feeling anger towards somebody, whether you're feeling some kind of, any kind of emotions that have been termed as negative. And that happens a lot even in traditional work environments, right? Where, you know, maybe a colleague has done some work faster than you did, whether your boss has admonished you for something that you didn't finish, whether you're stressed about a deadline. There are so many things in our work lives that really tend to have a strong impact on our minds. So I do think that just that breathing and meditating for some time can have a lot of change in each individual's life, and hence make the world a better place. I mean, I don't know if this is the best compliment, but I have definitely been told that I am a good listener. And I know that for a few close friends, I've been there when they needed a good listener, and that's been acknowledged. So I value that compliment. I've done this exercise where I wanted to have dinner with around 50 different people.
Oh, wow.
And one would be my grandfather, my mother's father, who who I didn't get the opportunity to spend any time with, any time in my conscious life. He passed away when I was not even 1 year old. So, and I've heard wonderful things about him from the rest of the family. So, I would love to have a meal with him and get to know him. Another would be Jane Goodall. She's a famous environmentalist. And who else? Leonardo DiCaprio. I was in my teens when he was that major heartthrob, and then from that he also has, he's such an ardent supporter of environmental causes. So
Exactly.
so I kind of secretly say that, okay, we're like these buddies. I would say never stop learning. We live in an age where there's no dearth of information, courses, even free courses that are of such good quality are available out there. So I really, really encourage that like people just keep checking these out. You have Udemy and Coursera and all these different platforms. In fact, I continue to do that from time to time, not really to get a certification, but just to see that, okay, what are they talking about? Because the whole digital space is so dynamic that it's good to know about what's happening. And as far as the whole sustainability space goes, I would say it's more about walking the talk. The minute people realize that they're passionate about it and they're drawn to making those changes in their life, that's when the desire to work in this space emerges, and then it's like that synchronicity of like minds. All the people that are my clients purely because we've had a conversation and bonded on just something that we feel similarly about. and then they've kind of gotten to a conversation and said, oh, but what do you do, how can you help us, and that's how it's rolled. I think it's already started being debunked in various places, but just sort of the fact that like your education or your the degree that you hold is not a sure shot kind of way up the ladder. I've seen that personally. In fact, I probably, there was a time when I used to almost kind of use that privilege to my kind of advantage and feel that chalo, I'll get any job and it's okay, nothing nothing to worry about kind of thing. And there was a time when I saw people so much younger than me do so well in similar positions, and age and education is not really a factor is a myth that I'd like to debunk. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I feel it because it's something that I've seen, and probably even almost made the mistake of judging a book by its cover and then realized that that was not the case. So I think I've experienced it closely, which is why I definitely think that it's a myth. So I have a website which is www.greenok, as in letter O, letter K, please, .org. I guess maybe if you can provide a link to it also with the podcast, that would help people. So there's either that or there's greenokplease@gmail.com. I would be more than happy to connect with anybody that's thinking about sustainability and curious about what I do. (2021) was my, it is my Onward Upward, and I see so many people around me. It's like how lots of people, and it's a joke in our family as well, because my mother said that once 1st Jan of 21 comes, corona will be gone and all of life's problems will be gone. So it's a joke I know that a lot of people have, right? That's it, New Year will come and everything's going to be fine. For me, I think that Onward Upward is just going after my dreams with clarity, and I hope to achieve that in this year. I think I would just like to increase the conversations that we're having around just better, healthier alternatives in our lives, better, healthier practices in life, which could be, mental, emotional, physical practices. I find myself moving in that direction, and it's something I'm really interested in. So if I can bring about an impact and inspire people to question that and to explore it further, that would be great for me. I would just, like I said, I would just really, really encourage people to start maybe identifying with some kind of, some kind of practice that is only for themselves, whether it is, a hobby like gardening or painting, or whether it is yoga, just something which is only time between, you and yourself. I'd really encourage that.